What's up, everyone? Brady Figueroa coming at you with another album review, and today I will be discussing the new album by the band Throne titled Excessive Guilt. It was released just a few days ago now, August 30th, and this is another band much like the Graphic Nature album that I reviewed a few months ago, which if you're a fan of this band, definitely check out that album as well as my review of it, where I reviewed it pretty positively. This is another band that kind of takes hardcore and brings in these nu metal influences into it with the vocal cadences and the more electronic aspects. It's been quite the build-up to this album as well. They've released, I believe, 5 singles over the course of the last 2 years now for it. And despite being a new band, this is literally their first album, these guys have gained quite a following so far. And if you ask me, it's rightfully deserved, because this album is a great execution of that hardcore, nu metal influenced hardcore, I guess, sound. The first track and first single, and I guess pseudo title track of the album, Guilt, is a great instance of this, where they kind of use the whole stop and go thing to their advantage. The song really embraces dissonance as well, and it kind of has those dissonant notes over those closed hi-hat beats that have a really cool contrast with the more full-sounding, hardcore breakdown-esque sections. Around 1:35 in, you get this really cool, mean-sounding breakdown riff that I really enjoy. The next track, Backfire, is another one that's just mean-sounding. I like when bands like this that are more hardcore-oriented just sound mean. Not super heavy, but mean. There's a difference there. The slower tempo of the song, at least compared to track 1, gives the song a great mid-tempo bounce that really drives it forward. And the next track, On the Verge, is one that really hooked me, and this is probably the song that really got me invested in this band and made me want to review this album. Those vocal inflections that are kind of split up and digitized there are just a phenomenal hook, and the way it transitions into that stopping riff to open the song is great. Lyrically, the song is just an embodiment of just stress and being fed up with life, which I think all of us can relate to at some point in our lives, if not pretty much all the time. Around 1:30, there's this real sludgy breakdown that I think is really cool. It almost sounds a bit lo-fi, how the guitars sound just slightly delayed, but I think that actually adds a lot to the song. Those split-up digitized vocal inflections also come back at multiple points throughout this song and make this one of the highlights on the album without a doubt. The song Look At Me, I would say, is pretty comparable to the song as well, how it has that electronic intro. The intro kind of comes back a little bit at times, and it actually changes key, which I thought was nice. It gives this song a bit more diversity. Super catchy outro with almost some turntable sounding. I don't even know if they're vocals or just sound effects, but again, give this song a much-needed sense of diversity and allows it to kind of stand out to the other songs on here. It's starting to get dark, so I had to turn the flash on. But one thing I do like about this album as a whole, though, is it's kind of like duality in a sense, because of this band's sound where they're hardcore with that nu metal influence. There are some songs that are kind of just more straight hardcore oriented, and there are songs that really lean into that nu metal influence a bit more. Nights and Dislike are two that, to me, really just reek of straight up hardcore, which I enjoy. Nights is pretty much just one giant breakdown the whole time. I especially love at the end how the guitars are a bit more split up and they really mesh together with those drums, and they give the song a great stop to end the song. I think when bands like this kind of have those more percussive style guitar riffs that really mesh together with those drums, like I said, I think moments like that are some of my favorite aspects of this type of metalcore. Dislike uses more open sounding guitar riffs and focuses less on the more gent sounds of the previous track I just talked about. And the way those single chord riffs just groan, I think really again makes the song unique from others on the record. One thing that this style of metalcore hardcore tends to suffer from is sometimes a lack of diversity in the songs, and songs that kind of blend together. For the most part, I think this album does a pretty good job of avoiding that. A great example of that is the track Bitter Friend, which is definitely one of the more nu metal-esque songs on here. To me, it kind of brings to mind the track Nobody's Listening off of Linkin Park's Meteora album. How that kind of synthesizer is that driving force to the song, really, and you get those beat makers and the more rapping style vocal cadences. And even the more hardcore moments on this song, like those breakdown sections, sound still a bit nu metal-esque. I think, again, that kind of like dissonance has a lot to do with that. It brings to mind, again, something like that Korn would do, or maybe Slipknot in their early days. The track Ignored is another highlight for me, even though it's only a minute long. There's some really cool moments in this song as well. I like those kind of ascending and descending guitar harmonics that drive this song. It brought to mind, at least to me, Gojira a little bit. There's that stopping riff about halfway through that are driven by those double bass drums. This song, again, is just pretty much one giant breakdown for the most part. The song Vent is one of the most chaotic songs on the record. Now it has those frantic sounding drums and some slight off time qualities, at least it sounds like. Again, there's some guitar riffs that kind of ascend and climb, and when guitar riffs do that, to me, it just sounds so like epic and mean, and like it's just like a wall or an avalanche coming down on you. There's also a closed hi-hat breakdown to end that song and some whispery vocals that I thought was pretty well done. And the closing track on here, fittingly called So Done, is another one that I really like. And again, it has some real mean sounding guitar riffs. There's some like nasty pinch harmonics thrown in there and more percussive style guitar playing like I complimented earlier. And the breakdowns that this song has kind of have more of a swing to them, which I enjoy, especially the one at the end. Definitely not a single bad song on this record by any means. I think the only track on here that feels a bit like filler is the track Bloodsucker. And even that one I still enjoy. It's just that it doesn't really say much that the rest of the album doesn't say in better ways, I guess. And I really don't have much criticism for this album. I think really the only criticisms I do have aren't even for this record particularly. They're more just personal tastes as far as this subgenre of hardcore or nu metal influenced hardcore and metalcore. That being the kind of overall notion of not a whole lot of diversity, especially in the mood. I think all the songs on here do pretty much have the same mood. It's also a very short record. It's only 20 minutes, which I understand, again, is kind of just a staple of the hardcore genre. But the aggressive nature of this music is great. The overall flow of the album is really good. I like that kind of duality I mentioned of the more hardcore influenced tracks, the more nu metal influenced tracks, and the ones that kind of do both in tandem. The lyrics are real gut level and emotional without being like dumbed down or overly simple. And overall, I think this album is a very promising start for this band, and I hope that they only go up from here with their next record. Excessive Guilt gets a 25 out of 30 for me. As always, thank you guys very much for watching. If you have an album that you would like to see me review, please comment that below. Also comment your thoughts on this album. I would love to discuss them. And remember to subscribe for more rock and metal related content. And until next time, once again, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.